This is Al Jazeera live from Doha. Also coming up, growing concern in the US over inadequate testing facilities as more than 40 die from COVID-19. Top English Premier team Chelsea goes into self-isolation after a player tests positive. Sporting events worldwide take a hit. And life under lockdown, we take a look at how Europeans are coping as more cities are quarantined. Volatility is gripping the world's major stock markets as the coronavirus pandemic sends share values plummeting. Tokyo's Nikkei index closed on Friday down 6%. That's after it plunged more than 10% on opening, along with markets in Thailand and India. It follows Wall Street's biggest drop since the Black Monday crash of 1987. There's another concern in the US too, a delay in testing for the virus. The top health official says the current situation is failing, but that more testing kits will be made available in the coming week. Meanwhile, over in Europe, schools across much of the continent have been closed. 4 towns in Spain have gone into lockdown, and the country is rolling out economic protection measures. Let's take a look now at that Johns Hopkins University tracker for the global picture. Here it is, these live numbers. As you can see, the total number of confirmed cases there has surpassed 128,000. Over here, we have the total number of deaths at 4,720, and the total number of people who have recovered there in the green, more than 68,000 people have recovered. Rob McBride joins us now live from Seoul with more. Rob, let's talk about the markets. How have they reacted in Asia?
That's right. There has been an incredible day of selling going on across the markets of Asia, extending further their heavy losses from yesterday, Thursday. That dropped by the Nikkei of more than 10% in early trading. They haven't had a drop like that in Japan for 30 years. There was some recovery in the Nikkei and the other markets, but everything ending firmly in the red. The Nikkei ended trading 6% down. The Kospi, that's the index here in South Korea, down a full 3.5%. It's had various central bank officials and finance ministry officials in many Asian countries having meetings, working out how to support the markets in their own countries, about buying bonds possibly or cutting interest rates. But of course, with interest rates from the central banks being at historically low levels anyway, there's not that much room for maneuver, and in fact there's zero in Japan. And also we've had not only all of this selling going on and turmoil and volatility in the financial markets, but also a reminder of just how the coronavirus is affecting the real economies of all the Asian countries. Singapore taking the remarkable decision this Friday to suspend until further notice all visits by cruise ships. So one of the greatest transport hubs in the world taking a very painful, but in its view, probably a very necessary decision in order to protect itself.
And Rob, I'm seeing that the city of Yichang in China's Hubei province is easing those travel curbs. Is the situation returning to normal in what was the epicenter?
We are getting encouraging signs. It's far too early, of course, given the dislocation, especially in the epicenter, Hubei province, for it to say it's a return to normal. But we are seeing encouraging signs, more travel being allowed in parts of that province. Also outside of Hubei, we're being told by ministry officials in Beijing that around 95% of all of larger companies in China are now returning to work. So very slowly, the wheels beginning to turn once more in the world's second biggest economy. And the numbers for new infections continue to be encouraging. Only 8 new cases across China have been recorded. That's the first time that new cases on a national level have been in single digits. It's allowed China to have the confidence now to lend a helping hand, reach out to countries such as Italy. We're seeing that a team has been sent from China of nurses and doctors who are now very experienced in dealing with infectious diseases to share some of that knowledge, and also to share some of their stuff, because of course China has vast stockpiles now of much needed medical kit and equipment such as ventilators that they have also taken with them to Italy, which is in great demand of those things. Also in South Korea, we're seeing a continuing trend downwards of new cases, 110 cases reported here, and like China, now looking at visitors from other parts of the world and putting in preventative measures, extra screening from this weekend here in Seoul. Like China, it doesn't want to see reinfection and is very wary now of people coming from other parts of the world that are now considered to be more contagious.
Rob McBride there with the latest from Seoul. Thank you. US restrictions on European travellers are said to begin later on Friday. New measures aren't just having an economic impact, they're also straining already brittle diplomatic relations between Washington and Brussels. And the Trump administration is also under fire for the inadequate testing facilities amid rising cases of COVID-19. Mike Hanna reports.
The Irish Prime Minister arrives at the White House. His bilateral meeting with the US President, one of the few events going ahead as scheduled. Ireland, along with the United Kingdom, two countries exempt from the sweeping travel ban which appears focused on the 26 European Union members of the Schengen Alliance, giving rise to claims that the ban has been haphazardly applied.
When you think of what happened to Europe, because it was very fast and very furious, and what happened is a lot of people went from China into Europe, and Europe suffered tremendously. You see what's going on. And so I just wanted that to stop as it pertains to the United States.
All public access to the US Capitol has been suspended, but lawmakers in the House are continuing to discuss a bill to counter the economic and social impact of the coronavirus, and also facing questions about whether lawmakers should stay at home.
Let us get this bill passed first, and then we see where we go from there, because the fact is, it's like the house is on fire. People are concerned about of course, their health and the health of their children.
Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden added his voice to the discussion about how best to deal with this ongoing crisis, and was harshly critical of the efforts by the Trump administration.
Public fears are being compounded by pervasive lack of trust in this president, fueled by adversarial relationships with the truth that he continues to have.
There's still public concern about the slow rollout of testing kits, this despite claims